It's called Gallop to Greatness. Giddy up.
Gotta be true to yourself. In a world there's nothing else. Gotta play the game right, gotta make your path. You scratch, you dig, you laying your ground, you busting your rounds. Nobody gon' stop you. No ops, no cops, everything about you looking good. You good, she good. Y'all people really wanna know the answer. It's that real effect. That's just that real effect. That's just that real effect. What you
Sugar K.Dot back in the Ripple Effect. You know what it is, you already know the vibes. Shout out to all the subscribers, especially our day ones. Y'all already know. Holidays coming, check out the website. Remember, Etsy, that's the Ripple Effect WK. All caps, no space. Made it super easy for you guys. Christmas presents, or if you want to rock some gear for yourself, whatever. You already got that fitted. Losses equals life lessons. Y'all already know. Yeah, just got back from London. This game was definitely dope. What was even more dope was watching people from other countries appreciate our game. I didn't know that the fandom was real out there. I'll show you on some clips. I'm still putting together all the different pictures and all the content that I obtained while I was out there, because I also was in Paris as well. But listen, they like sports too. They like the NFL. You know, obviously they have, you know, their football, you know, and I have to say that because, you know, soccer, they're like, what do you guys call it, soccer, you know? Or some people would even say, oh, the real football, and I'm like, all right, you guys are taking it to another level. But it was all great. This bar I went to, it was one of these, I guess it was where almost everybody in the stadium was meeting prior to the game. It was nuts. Listen, you got the cheeseheads on one side, you know, you got the crazy Cowboys fans, you know, you have New England. Like, you just love it because it's like no matter what, where your team is at, how they're doing, people were about that life. Or even, of course, like people like me who actually flew all the way out there and said, you know what, I'm gonna go see what everything's like. I mean, I've never been. I've been to Europe before, but I haven't been to Paris and I haven't been to London. And I must tell you, London, what an experience. You're talking about food, amazing, cocktails, amazing, excuse me, people, service, you name it, they got it. And before we really get into, because I know we got to get into the NFL, and also the NBA is about to start, so we got to talk about that as well. But I have to tell you, listen, I don't think you've been to a steakhouse until you've been to London. I know a lot of y'all gonna go nuts on me about this, and pause. But I'm just saying, listen, I've been to a lot of steakhouses. Listen, I'm a big fan of ribeye. You know, you have the Wagyu, you have the Kobe beef, whatever. Cool. You know, I can't say I've been everywhere around the United States in every single restaurant, because I haven't, and that's just not. I'm gonna try, but it's just not possible at the moment, just because, you know, time, right? But shout out your restaurant. If you feel like your steakhouse is great, trust me, I will try it. I'll put it on the list and I will try it, you know, just to see. But I'm telling you, London, oh my God, bro. Like, I'm telling you, it was amazing, an amazing experience. The prices weren't even that bad. I mean, this restaurant that I went to, I'm going to shout out the restaurant just because I love the service so much. And also, you know, the people that they were there, it was almost like this, like, family style type of restaurant, because they kind of had, like, everybody, you know, sitting next to each other in a sense. But it was, you know what I mean? Like, but it wasn't that crowded, so nobody was sitting next to, you know, my party. But it was that kind of, that very inviting atmosphere, but at the same time, very sophisticated. You get to choose, you know, which steak you want, which cut, you know, how do you want it. I mean, brilliant. So anyway, Beast restaurant, and it lived up. And I'm gonna tell you, because nobody told me, it's like an exclusive type of restaurant, because I didn't know how to get there. Well, I knew how to get there, but I didn't know, like once I got in the vicinity, when you type it into your GPS, there was no sign, bro. I'm telling you. There's another nice restaurant that looks close, and you're almost thinking, like, maybe that's it, and it's not. I'm telling you right now, it's not. You have to, like, go around the corner. It's almost like some dark alley. And listen, I'm not trying to send you on to some crazy spots, but I'm just telling you, I promise there's no sign. And I think that's just the way they want it. And the minute you walk in through these double doors, you know, Somebody's gonna greet you, and then there's an elevator, and they take you upstairs, and it's like magical. I mean, I think I've been to a place like that in Manhattan one time. I think it was a steakhouse, but this place, I'm telling you, even I know I'm going crazy long on the restaurants. Like, this is a food channel. For all you guys just tuning in for the first time, I promise you this is not a food channel. I'm not a food critic by any means. You know, I don't, critique food, just not. And if you're wondering about my voice, I got sick. The changing weather threw me off. But, that's just the price you pay when you travel sometimes and you're getting jet lagged and all those other things. But anyway, let me not get too long-winded than I already have. Listen. The oysters were amazing. I believe we had wild mushrooms, and I can't even remember the other dish, but I'm just telling you, it's amazing. Go check it out. London is not, what you think. I'm just gonna put it that way. If you've never been, it's probably not what you think. And if it is, go anyway. Have an open mind and check it out for yourself. I loved it. Great experience. Great experience. That's all I can say. But just to dive into some news, like, I know the trade deadline is coming up, and I know a lot of people in the NFL sitting there, trying to make their moves, and you have fans going nuts because they're trying to figure out what's going to happen. Especially if you're a Giants fan, you're a little nervous because you're sitting there like, all right, we already know what's going on. Danny Dimes is hurt. He's got the neck thing, right? He's not going to be playing today. It's Tyrod Taylor. That's when he's playing. And also, you're sitting there wondering about Saquon Barkley's future, right? Kind of something that we've been wondering about for a while, and that's kind of annoying because it's like, we need some type of consistency going on here. And I know it's funny because I was wearing, I believe, a Giants hat when I was out there in London, and somebody asked me, what do I think, we should do moving forward? And I'm like, listen, this season is not something that's going to get repaired like that. Like, it's not going to happen. Right now, we just got to go through the motions in a sense. We already know what it is. Everybody is pretty much, it doesn't mean we're not going to fight. It doesn't mean we're not going to compete because, come on, I mean, you already know what the G-men are about. But I'm talking about for, in the grand scheme of things, and, in long term, right? When it comes to the draft, we can't go for the sexy pick. It's just that simple. You just can't. You can't go for, like the quarterback and this and that. Like, listen, right now, we need to build our team. Like, look what the Lions did, and look where they're at right now, right? I mean, they haven't even lost a game, forever. And not only that, they have that chemistry, right? It's because it's the way they were built. Nobody was paying attention to the Lions. Listen, Lions may even win on Thanksgiving, right? They haven't done that in I don't know how long, but they've been on Thanksgiving for I don't know how long. But this time, it might actually be interesting. So that's awesome. So when it comes to the Giants, we have to take that same sort of mindset and say, hey, let's build up that offensive line that we've been talking about for the last couple of years, right? Let's build that up. Let's get our defense. There's different things that we can do. We just got to be patient. And I know it sucks to say that. Nobody wants to be patient. Everybody wants to win now, especially when you saw what we did last year. It's like, look what we were able to do. You know what I mean? And especially, and it caught everybody off surprise. But as Giants, that's kind of what we do. I mean, right? When we won that Super Bowl, we were like an 8-8 team. So, I mean, that's kind of what we do. We like to catch people, by surprise. We're not necessarily the hunted, we're the hunter, right? In that sense of things, and that's okay. Everybody knows their role, they know their place. So that's pretty much what I told him, and it's funny because he was like, yeah, you're right, and because I know everybody's like, they're not sold on Danny Dimes, but it doesn't matter what you think because they already paid him, right? The organization already made up their mind, and they didn't poll the fans to ask them what they thought, right? Just like they didn't ask the fans what they thought when they decided to draft him, right? So at the same time, it's like, it is what it is. This is what we have. Is it the worst thing in the world? I'm not going to say it's the worst thing in the world. I know it probably feels like it, especially when you go back to week 1 and, getting shut out by the Cowboys, 4 years ago. I don't want to bring it up. But, that was like the last day of my vacation at the time, so I'm going to bring it up because it was like, what, like, really? Like, But anywho, that's the Giants' future. So right now, yeah, we're a little worried because if you get rid of Saquon, and I know everybody wants to talk about the running backs and they get hurt and this and that, and third and fourth thing. And listen, when it comes to some teams, I get it. right? Because you probably have that hot shot quarterback, right? Where the run game is not necessarily being used, utilized like so. But when it comes to the Giants, when you think about Saquon's value to the Giants, not necessarily, in the grand scheme of like the whole NFL, when it comes to the Giants, what Saquon means, you saw last year, right? You saw what we was able to do when Saquon was healthy, right? I mean, it just speaks for itself. To even make Saquon go through, jumping all these hoops and doing all these different things in the offseason, it was just, it's disgraceful. That's why I'm glad that, Jonathan Taylor on the Colts, I'm glad he got his deal. It even may not even be the money exactly that we wanted, but I'm glad they got the deal done because now the market has been set for the running backs, right? And I'm not even saying that Saquon's going to get that type of money, but I'm kind of hoping that it would at least give him a little bit more leverage. And I know him being out right now is not helping, which is why every single week we had him playing, right? It was like, oh, Saquon's going to play, even though we knew that he was visibly, he was hurt. And it's like, he's not coming back in a week. It's just not possible. But I'm sure it was Saquon trying to, let people know, like, hey, I don't want to stay out because it puts this image out here that I can't stay healthy. And if you're trying to get another contract and not trying to be on a franchise tag again, you know what I mean? Like, that's just kind of how it is. And it's just, it is messed up. So as a Giants fan, do I want Saquon to go? No, but if we're going to go through the same thing in the off season, next off season with all this, with whether we're going to pay him and how much, and he's not going to training camp, if we're going to go through all that, please spare me, spare the rest of the Giants fandom, and spare Saquon and trade him. That's my advice. That's what I would say for that situation, because enough is enough. I mean, it's ridiculous. Saquon is a team guy. Don't ruin, let me just say this. Like, it's almost like I hate it when you have sometimes these rules in place and that destroys, the good guys in a sense. Like Saquon, and I'm not going to say good guys like people who choose to sit out are bad, and they're not. I'm just saying you're ruining it for the guys who actually, are not just thinking about themselves. They're thinking about the whole team. They actually love the community that they're in. They love the guys. They love it so much that they put it above themselves. And I'm not saying that that's a good or bad way to go. That's a personal decision. That's on you. But I'm just saying when you're playing a team sport, you know what I mean, and you have a guy like that, why would you, you know what I mean? Like putting him through that and then putting him through another offseason possibly, like is similar to that situation. What do you think that's going to put in the minds of other, young guys coming into the league or young guys that are already in the league? They're going to have that mentality of like, I'm going to sit out. It's not worth it. Why am I going to put myself, in this position saying I'm a team guy just for that same team to not look out for me and then just trade me like nothing, like none of this ever happened, right? So it's like, I totally get it. I see both sides, organizational wise and player wise. But when you're a fan of that particular team, or just a fan of Saquon Barkley, from Penn State, and knowing everything that he's done and how he's proven to be that team guy, and production wise, I mean, come on, Saquon made everyone look good last year. Let's be real. I mean, Dable, he came in, did a great job, but the record, I put more of that on Saquon than anything. You know what I mean? When you have that run game that's controlling the time of possessions, giving the defensive a break, and then you're making the defense look really good. You know what I mean? Not saying that, that they weren't doing their thing, because they most certainly were. But at the same time, it goes a long way. I'm telling you. It does. It builds that morale, and guys just want to play more. You know what I mean? If you feel well rested, you feel... It's just, it's a vibe thing. It's something that you can't explain it. If you've never been a part of it, you may not know. You may not know, but you can see it. If you watch it, you can see it, and you can kind of get a feel for it and see how guys are. And like I said, I'm going to keep bringing up the Lions because nobody's really talking about the Lions, because look at what they're doing, and their record speaks for themselves, right? I mean, anywho, I digress on the whole Saquon Giants thing. As you can tell, it's a whole nother thing. But just so you know, for you 49ers fans, listen, you guys are doing your thing. I mean, it's no surprise. Brock Purdy, we need to stop talking about this guy like he's just an average quarterback or he's just a game manager. That's annoying. I've seen all these throws that he's been making, and he's that guy. He's that guy that can be in an MVP conversation. And let's stop saying that just because you have certain players on your team that it's easy and that you can just put anybody there. And that argument also goes for the Dolphins with Tua. That is annoying because when you have a quarterback, right? I'm not going to mention any names because everybody's going to think I'm biased because it's a division of them. But if you listen close to the conversation, you're going to know exactly who I'm talking about. And you do have weapons, and they're not being utilized, right? Then what are we saying? Oh, well, this is another team we could actually be talking about too, but I already gave it away by saying so it's like that doesn't make sense. You can have a quarterback that has great wideouts, that has talent around them, right? To throw to, and yet they're still not getting the ball for whatever reason. But the point is, it's not that easy. Just because you have talented wideouts, does it help? I'm not going to sit there and try to say it doesn't help. That's ridiculous. Of course it helps, you know. But at the same time, it's the quarterback leading the defense. It's the quarterback's leadership. And this also goes for Jalen Hurts, right? When everybody says, oh, if you got, you know, Devontae Smith and you have A.J. Brown, you know, out there running for you, you know, running, and it's like, come on, man. Like, you're just not, that's just lazy. You know what I mean? Like, just to come up with that. You're not watching the game. That's all I can tell you. It's like what it takes, especially in Brock Purdy's position. I mean, not to keep reiterating what everybody else already said about him having a roommate and, you know, with his teammate. And listen, the guy is like living a regular life, but playing like a MVP candidate of the NFL. Let's just call it that. You don't think he's under a lot of pressure? I mean, with Kittle, I mean, when you have guys like that, Debo, Christian McCaffrey, their expectations are crazy. And let's not even talk about the defensive side of the ball. You know what I mean? Like, they're already made, they're built for the Super Bowl. They just needed that one piece, right? They just needed that quarterback to take them over the top, right? And I think Brock Purdy is that answer for you. And it doesn't mean, and just because I know everybody wants to go back to when he was drafted, you know, that to me, that is a distant memory. I'm not thinking about that. Because there's quarterbacks that were drafted very high, and at the end of the day, they're nowhere on the level of Brock Purdy. And yeah, we can kind of say, okay, maybe they're not playing under Kyle Shanahan, and maybe that has some. I'm not even going to go there because you know what? Coaching and system has a ton to do with this. But you still got to learn the system, and you still got to build that chemistry, and you still got to be able to execute. And then being at the quarterback position, your team has to believe in you, right? Like they have to be willing to ride for you, like. And this team clearly has done the job, you know, that they needed to do because they believe in the quarterback. They believe in the system. They believe in everything that they have going on there. And shout outs to you. I mean, when it's working, it's working. There's no need to question it. I mean, I know there's unfortunate. I think McCaffrey, he may play. There wasn't like an update on that just yet. And I really wish they would hurry up because that's going to kind of, you know, make my pick, you know, make or break it. Because Debo's not playing. They've already said that. I think he might be out for the next 2 weeks. You know, that's also too precautionary. Listen, they have a bigger picture in mind. Winning a couple more games, you know, no big deal, right? And I respect it. But yeah, McCaffrey not playing. But you know how that goes. The big game that everybody wants to talk about, so we'll kind of get into that, right? You have the Eagles and the Dolphins. Is that who's playing? Yeah. We already know. They've been hyping this up all week. How can you not know? These teams, these quarterbacks, definitely been questioned, right? I think they're questioned all the time. At least with Tua, for the most part, they kind of question, like, you know, is he going to be healthy? You know, what's going to happen with him? You know, he did that jiu-jitsu. He's learning how to fall. He's learning how to do this. I just think he's just getting more comfortable out there. He's built a great chemistry with the guys around him. You know, they have a great run game. I mean, when you have the fastest guys on your team, and I believe they just got Claypool too from, man, smart move, Claypool, man. You knew what you was doing. You said whatever needed to be said to get out of Denver. And who could blame you? You probably saw the writing on the walls. You probably saw how crazy it was getting, you know, between Sean Payton, you know, Russell Wilson, and not trying to, you know, create any stories or anything, but you can tell the chemistry is just not there with those guys, and I don't know what's gonna happen and what they're gonna do next, but that's just one of those things you just gotta keep watching to see week by week, because you have no idea what's gonna happen. But to go back to the Dolphins, man, I mean, you know, you got the Cheetah and you got Waddle, man. These guys, I mean, they're about to score more points. I think they're about to set another record, most points scored, you know, in the whole NFL season, and it doesn't surprise me at all. The only thing is can the Eagles stop them? Because you already know what the Eagles are bringing. You already know that defense, and Jalen is just as smooth as, you know what I mean? Like, he's just one of those leaders that, he's one of those guys that you just can't root against. You know, you just can't root against him. You know, I mean, and this is coming from a Giants fan, and I don't mean I want the Eagles to win. I'm just saying, honestly, I'm just talking about Jalen Hurts, just as thinking about his path, thinking about how he got taken out of a national championship game and how he was able to rebound, and how everybody talks about him being, you know, coach's son, and, you know, I mean, I get all that, but at the same time, it's like he's one of those guys that just knows how to take a loss. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, we all take them. Some of us just don't know how to take them well. We just don't, you know, we don't know how to get up. Or when we get up, we don't know how to get up like, oh, well, lost to the Eagles, life left. Like, you know what I mean? Like, some of us just don't know how to do that. And not only does he know how to do that, he knows how to galvanize guys around him. He knows how to make people believe in him. And it don't matter. It's not about the mistakes. It's not about, like I said, we all make them. It's how you bounce back. What are you gonna do next time? Okay, what was your takeaway? What did you learn from this? You know, did you realize, like, okay, maybe that was something I probably should have done in the first place, and I kind of already knew, but it's just one of those mistakes you just gotta make just to know it was a mistake. If you know, you know. If you don't, you know, then I guess you're just not a risk taker, you know. But I can definitely, you know, I know for sure. But when it comes to these teams, and you're thinking about A.J. Brown, and what the numbers he's gonna get, and you think about Swift, you know, in the run game, man, Eagles are dangerous. You know, it's gonna be a really good game. I don't even know if it's gonna be, you know, some people are asking, you know, if it was gonna be a high-scoring game, and I don't know, but I think it's gonna come down to the defense, though. I mean, I think offensively, we already know what these guys are gonna do. Defensively, is how you gonna put in a good game plan to stop, you know, if you're the Eagles, you know, and you're the defensive coordinator, and you gotta sit there and try to figure out, how am I gonna slow Tyreek Hill down? You know, because even when I know Stephen A. Smith caught a lot of heat from this, from saying that, you know, when Tyreek Hill, when Tua, you know, throws like these 3-5 yard passes, you know, to Tyreek Hill, and he's not saying that's all he can throw. I got the message. He was just saying that's all you would need to do, because Tyreek Hill can turn that into taking it to the house. Like, that's dangerous, because you may sit there and say, okay, I'm not letting this guy go for any, like, go balls. Like, you're not catching any, like, long ones from him. Nah, that's not happening. Not on us. But it don't matter. It could be, like, one of these dink and dunks that they talk about, and then that's it. And this guy's just off with the races, because once he gets going, it's a wrap. If he catches that ball in stride, it's over, you know? So, and then don't forget about Waddle on the other side. Don't forget about Mostert. You know, they have a really good chemistry. And then you can't forget about McDaniel, man. I mean, guy's a genius. Offensively, he's a genius. You know, I love how he just focuses on the offense and just said, this is how I'm going to run it. Seems like he's already brought in a defensive coordinator, so he ain't got to worry about that side of the ball. And he's like, I got a game plan for these guys, and we're going to go for it. And that's the scary part, because it's like, how are they going to match up? And I still got a few more minutes to figure out, you know, who my pick is going to be. I am leaning more towards the Dolphins, honestly, for a number of reasons. Reasons I already just mentioned, but mainly because I still feel the Eagles still have a couple of more things to learn. And I know some people can make that, you know, make that for the Dolphins as well, because they're still coming together and they still haven't, you know, been there yet, you know. But that was mainly because of injury, though, and I guess that's just my argument, you know. And it's like that unstoppable, you know, from the Eagles standpoint, that unstoppable, what do you call it, the, you know, tush push, and, you know, for them is brotherly shove. I'm sorry, I think everybody should adopt brotherly shove. I understand that that's shouting out more for, you know, the Eagles, but at the same time, it's like, come on now, tush push. I think that should be the end of that. I think we should talk about that no more. Brotherly shove, that's the way I'm gonna refer to it. So if the Eagles are not playing and I say brotherly shove, if you watch this episode, you should already know what I'm talking about. That's just the way I'm gonna roll with it, because that's crazy. But at the same time, I gotta, you know, shout out to the Jets. Shout out to the Jets. Y'all were celebrating y'all like I won the Super Bowl. You know, if I wasn't paying attention, you know, if I was out of the country for too long, I would have been like, man, did I miss the Super Bowl? Like, what happened? Like, nah, but you guys deserve it. I mean, all the hype coming in, losing Aaron Rodgers 4 plays in. I mean, it doesn't get any more dramatic than that. I know Hollywood's like, man, like, we need that NFL script. Nah, I'm just messing. But, you know, at the same time, it was super dramatic. You know, you have, you know, Zach Wilson, you know, written off by everybody. Even Joe Namath wrote him off, you know, and it actually was writing off the whole organization. I think he wanted to, like, fire everybody. Even the parking attendants. I'm like, yo, what did they do? Like, I'm like, they wanted to fire the whole traffic cops. They just wanted to just go in, clean house. I'm just like, bro, like, relax, you know. I didn't blame him either. I mean, if I was a fan, you know, heavily invested, like, you know, like a Joe Namath, probably would have said the same thing, you know. Probably did, who knows. But nevertheless, you know, Zach Wilson is, you know, he's poised, man. I mean, I think he learned so much from getting benched last year. That's why that is so important. Like, what did I talk about in the beginning, even with Jalen Hurts getting pulled out of the national championship? And I'm not by any means like trying to compare the two in the sense of they're the same person, same personality, or same leadership style. I am not by any means. Obviously, Jalen Hurts is far superior when it comes to leadership. But what I am saying is, when it comes to taking a loss, excuse me, like, how do you decide to bounce back? What are you going to do? Are you going to continue to sulk? Are you going to continue to prove everybody else wrong, right? I'm sorry, this cough is crazy. Or are you going to bounce back and say, you know what, I'm going to learn week by week, and I'm going to get better. No matter what, I'm going to get it done. And that's what he's been doing. And all I can do is wish them all the success in the world, because I love stories like that where people are able to bounce back, even if they're benched for the rest of the season, even if they're wearing t-shirts for another quarterback name and face on it. But they still find a way to get it done. It's awesome. But listen, y'all already know this whole episode has pretty much been about. But y'all already know I only ask y'all to do one thing. Always remember this. Bosses equals life lessons.
Who's winning? Who's winning? Sorry. Huh? Sorry, but who's winning?